Hello, friends. It's Michelle. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for coming to my July edition of Tea with Me. I've missed you so much, and I've been looking forward to this time together. I have so much to share with you. So before I start, today's tea is rooibos tea, which I learned in England, and it's a red tea. I think rooibos means red bush. And I've been actually lately brewing this and then putting it in the refrigerator and having it cold during the day. But today I'm having hot tea with you. We've had an unbelievable heat wave here. Barely been able to get outside much the last week because the heat index has been about 110. So to have hot tea is kind of crazy, but today I'm going to be able to do it. So with that said, let me have a little sip. And let's get started and chat a little bit. So because I expect this video will go a little bit long, I am going to tell you a little bit about what I'm talking about today. That way, if you don't have time to stay and chat with me, you can forward through the video and find the things that you're most interested in. So I'd like to talk today a little bit about my trip to England and some of the things I got there. So it's a bit of a haul video at the beginning. Then I'd also like to share with you my Tracie Fox challenge, altered notebook challenge, things that I worked on. If you're not familiar with that challenge, it was quite fun and I thought I would share that with you. I also want to talk a little bit about a project that I worked on and a video that I have coming up, as well as share with you, I mentioned in my last Tea with Me that I had purchased a huge amount of ephemera, and I now have a better idea of what I'm doing with that, including wanting to show you a very special artifact I found and talk a little bit about the future of that ephemera and what it means to my subscribers. So we have a lot to cover. I will basically start with my trip to London. And like I said, if you can join me for a few minutes, that's great. If you can join me for the whole time, that's be even better. So the last week of June, I went to London, my first time abroad, and can I say, what a lovely country. And I only really spent most of my time in London. And then I spent one day in Oxford. So everything I'll be showing you today came from London proper, I guess you'd call it, with the exception of a couple books that I found in Oxford, but it's not that they're not related just to Oxford. But I do have a store to talk about there. So first off, let me say that I cannot wait to go back to England and travel a little bit outside of London, because as much as I loved London, and I did, and there's some definite things I want to go back and spend more time with, I really want to explore the countryside, and I really want to see some of the towns outside. So I'm hoping a future trip. And I almost wonder if I'd be better off going with girlfriends or even going alone and meeting up with people, because there's so many things I wanted to do that I realize my family of men aren't necessarily interested in, like treasure hunting and going to vintage shops and things like that. But they were very patient and at times let me do what I needed to do. So let me show you some of the things I bought that I'm very excited about. So you may know that I do a lot of thrifting at home, and I have been going to estate sales, but I don't find a lot of tea cards and cigarette cards, because that's just not something I think that America had. So watching all of you lovely ladies in the UK and your collections really made me want to do that. So we went to, where did we go? Trying to think, was it Cambridge? I don't think it was Cambridge. I'll have to look at where it was. It's where the Royal Naval Academy is, and I'm just drawing a blank at the moment. But there was a vintage market there, and in that vintage market, I found finally my first Ladybird books. Now, a lot of you have been talking about these books for a long time, and I really had a hard time wrapping my head around what they were. But I now realize They're very similar to what we would consider to be, I wouldn't say little golden books, but I compare them to that because in the United States, those were a brand of books that were inexpensive that children read that were a variety of authors and subjects. So I'm kind of comparing it to that. Now, the lady who I bought these from, I made such a big mistake because she had all three. See how this says British Birds in Their Nests and British Birds in Their Nests, a third book? Well, she had the second book. Why did I not purchase it? Well, because I'm a bit of a twit. Because I thought it just what meant the first, second, and third edition. I thought the covers were different because they were different editions, and I thought I don't need three of the same book. So foolishly, I like these covers the best, so I bought these two thinking I would keep one and cut another. And then I got home and realized they were three books with different birds, and they were a set. And I think I paid, I want to say I might have paid like £3 for each book. So for £9, I could have gotten the entire set, which would have been a lot more valuable than the first and the third. But, you know, you live and you learn. I'm sure I can somehow find the second one. Of course, it'll probably cost me more than £3. But I really love these Ladybird books. First of all, they're everything that I love about this time period. Interesting end papers and really beautiful paper. It's that paper that's flat and the ink is so saturated and everything is illustrated rather than photographed, and really just lovely. I love the color on that. And look at the little matching egg in the nest. I don't think I'm going to be able to cut this up. And now I'm just really beating myself over not having the second one because I would love to own it. But look how lovely that is with the three. I just think it's wonderful. Look at that color. Great color. So that was at a little thrift shop, not a thrift shop, at actually a boot sale. My first boot sale. And can I say how fun it was to see all the boots of the car up and things inside of them. Although most people had tables in a certain area, but I was just so thrilled with it. In fact, I had to stand on the side and take a picture of all the boots up. And I love the word boot. I think it's just so cute rather than trunk. But man, I was so thrilled to go to my first boot sale, especially knowing what they are now. I want to go to more, and I need to come to England to do that. So that was my first find. Then my second find, let me put that aside, are these wonderful cards. Okay, so I just had to disappear for a second because I realized that I'm trying to remember everything from England and I'm stumbling over myself. So I had to go and get my journal that I put together from England so that I can remember certain things and refer to them because I don't want to be stumbling this whole section of the video. We were actually in Greenwich. That's where I found the Ladybird books, and now I can proceed with where I found these. So this was in Covent Gardens. I found a few things in Covent Gardens that I really liked. There was a sort of an artisan market called Apple Market, and in there was a gentleman that produced, he took large type trays and he cut them down into small little like shelves. Let me see if I have mine handy. So see, he cuts down the type trays and adds the little fixtures to them and mounts them. He calls it the Old Print Shop, and it's in London and in Camden Market, and he sells these, which I thought were really cute. Oops, sorry. But he also sells a lot of vintage wood blocks. Now, I'm going to ask you guys for help on this because I love them, and I made really good prints. He had an area where you could check them. at his shop, but now I can't make them here. So I'm wondering if it was a special kind of ink that wood blocks work best on. So if anybody has any tips to make a really good impression, I would really appreciate it. Also, I'm really angry at myself. My last name is Landry, so I thought this would be great to have an L that I could print on some things, but can you spot my error? This is not an L. This is either an R or a J. It's backwards because everything you print is in mirror. And I wasn't thinking about that when I picked it up. And it was actually in the L letterbox, so obviously someone had picked it up and put it where they saw it, but oh well, lesson learned. It's still pretty. But I could really use a little advice on how to get good imprints on these. So if anybody can give me that, I would appreciate that. So in the same Covent Gardens, there was, I guess, a vintage market, and there was a woman that had just boxes of ephemera, and she had cigarette cards. And I'm back to the cigarette card. See how I was talking about it, and then I kind of strayed away, and now I'm back. Welcome to my mind. This is what I do, and sometimes it can be hard to follow. But here I am. I'm back. Cigarette cards. So I found these wonderful cards. This one is birds. I love the colors and the saturation on them. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Look how gorgeous they are. So I got birds, and I got, this is butterflies and moths. How gorgeous are these? Love them. Certainly going to have fun with them. I have to see what the legality is of putting these in digital files. I have to see if anybody else has done that. I assume that the companies still own the copyrights, but I'm not sure. But I can at least use them in books, which I'm excited about. And I've got these butterflies as well. I love the white background and how colorful they are. I mean, usually I will pay $4 or $5 for a beautiful book with plates. And I mean, she had her cards, I think, so reasonably priced. I think when I counted, I have almost 300 cards between all these packages, and I got them for £3 or £4 each. So, I mean, it's really great. And then this one. Okay, that was weird. Somebody just texted or rang my phone and it shut off my videotape. So there may be a little glitch in the video. So what I was saying is these are my favorite cards that I found, and they're called Romance of the Heavens, which, how great is that? And I love, look at that. Isn't that great? And look at these cards. They're all space, and they're planets and stars, and I've been really wanting to make like an astronomy journal for some time now. I have a whole folder going, and these are going to be amazing for that. So love these. Love that dark, dark blue. I just think they're beautiful. So I got all of these cigarette cards, which I'm just thrilled about. And then I got these because they were in the same box. They're not cigarette cards. In fact, I believe they're Dutch, and the company is called, oh gosh, I forget. I did a Google Translate, and it's something like The Beautiful Company or something. I don't remember what it was. But these are all like recipe advertisements or cards for this particular company, this Dutch company, and the pictures are great. Look at the shoes she has on. Oh my gosh. First flip-flops, just terrific. Look at the colors. I love this. So these were just really cool, and somehow I'll find a way to use those in my journals. So that was very exciting. Okay. So then I did a little shopping at some very famous stores that on Instagram I have been hearing so much about. The first one is Blade Rubber Stamp Company, and let me say they are as lovely inside as their products are. There are more rubber stamps in that store than I have ever seen. It was so much fun to go through. I don't know if I was speaking to the owner or workers, but they were really, really helpful and lovely. And instead of souvenirs that say London or whatever, I decided this time I would buy things that I would use. So these two stamps, I don't believe are specific to them, but I haven't seen anything around me. This company is Fruit Basket Upset from Stamp Francisco. Haha, pretty funny. So you could probably search that online. They had a lot of different companies represented there. This one, I'm not sure. Okay, this one's Cat's Life Press. And I've seen other people, pen pals, use this before, and I just love this because you can stamp this at the top of your letter or journal and forever write the day and the year. So I really wanted to have that one. And then I bought an original Blade rubber stamp. I wanted to at least get one that was made there, and I thought I could get a lot of use out of this. I thought this was really cute. So I bought mostly rubber stamps there, and I bought some papers. I didn't bring them because most of them are things you can get there, like Stamperia and stuff like that, but I can't necessarily get them here easily. So I bought papers. There was one company she had that had papers with London in it, so I bought some of those papers, some things with Alice in Wonderland on it, but I didn't bring that. The other big store that I always hear about is Crossing Keeping. Is that what I think the name is, or Keepers Crossing? I don't know. I'll have to look after. It's a very upscale stationery store, and it's in the Seven Dials area, kind of not far from Piccadilly Circus, I think. And I was very excited to go there. Choosing Keeping? I'm stumbling over the name in my head. You're all yelling at the camera right now because you know it and I'm butchering the name. And I'll put all the links of this stuff in the details below. But they're a very high-end stationery store. I've been following them on Instagram. I was super excited to go see them and their papers. And their papers do not disappoint. They are as lovely as you expect them to be. However, having said that, and this is just my personal opinion, I am not in any way bashing the store because I think the store is loved by many, many people, and rightly so. It has gorgeous products. But for me, it was very expensive and not the type of store that I could go to a whole lot because their journals and papers were so expensive. Like a piece of paper, I want to say was like 18 pounds. I mean, it's beautiful, but very, very expensive. And they were like saying some of these papers were wrapping paper. Holy smokes. Like, I would never wrap a gift in something this lovely and this expensive. So as nice as it was to look, it was like a 10-minute shop for me because I couldn't really afford to buy anything there. However, having said that, they had a bin of papers that were probably like when they get to the end of a stock and they only have one or two left and they want to change out the rack, and they have beautiful racks of papers. You can see them on Instagram, and I'll kind of share the link in the description below. They take those pieces of paper and they roll them up and they sell those for a very affordable amount of money. So that's where I bought it because, I am a bargain hunter, as we all are. And if we want to make our books and make them in a way that we can afford them, we have to find affordable products. But I did want Choosing Keeping. That's the name of the store. It just finally came to me. Again, squirrel brain, back and forth. It's like tennis. It's like tennis with my thoughts. And, what can I say? This is why I'm drinking herbal tea and I'm not drinking caffeinated tea. Can you imagine how bad that would be? Okay, back on track. I want to show you the papers that I did buy in their sort of off paper bin. I am a huge fan of mushrooms. This is the most beautiful mushroom paper. I had to fold it in quarters in order to get it home. But there's probably enough here for me to make 4 books full of end papers. So that's, I really love that. And then I thought this was the most gorgeous paper. Isn't that delicious? Oh, I love it. Probably might use this as an end paper, but there's just so much material here to cut up on tags and other things. So I really loved this. And then this is just a really plain but beautiful, remind me of William Morris paper, just a really lovely paper. So that's what I got there. That's all I got there. And I want to say these 3 papers still cost me maybe 15 pounds, which 3 pieces of paper, that's a lot of money. But, you know, if you could feel it, it is beautiful. And for a very special journal, I would use this as an end paper, but I am totally going to hoard this. So the last thing I got in England is not probably that special to you, but was special to me. And I want to make a point of saying this. We went to Oxford for the day and went to this wonderful pub called Eagle and Child, which is very famous because there are a lot of famous authors. Well, not a lot of famous authors, but Tolkien and C.S. Lewis used to, that was their local pub. And they're known for their pies. So we wanted to go there with our boys for lunch. And oh, it was delicious. And can I say, I love pub life. We all love pub life. In America, the closest thing we have to pubs is probably diners. And maybe a local diner does have that same feel, but we love so many things about the pubs. First of all, we loved the drinks. We loved the beer. Awesome. We loved how you ordered with the bartender, gave your table number, and then the food came out, but you were already paid for. So you weren't waiting for a check at the end. You could come and go. And although we did go to a few pubs that were probably, there weren't chains, but they were owned by bigger companies, we went to a couple local pubs, and the feel there, the community there, the way that people knew each other, man, I just loved pub life. So on the way into the pub, I spied an Oxfam bookstore, which delighted me to no end. So at the end of the meal, I told my boys just to kind of hang out and relax, and I was going to run over there, which I did. And I literally had an armful of books when my husband got to the store, and he looked at me and he said, Michelle, you can't buy all those books. We can't get them home. We don't have that much space on our suitcases, number one. And number two, they weigh too much. You know, we had this issue where we looked at the weather before we went to England, and it was supposed to be typical temperatures, like, you know, in Fahrenheit, it would have been like high 60s, low 70s. And then we looked at it 24 hours before we left, and they were going to have a heat wave. So we added to our luggage just in case. So we didn't have a whole lot of room. And I had to put most of the books back, which broke my heart. But I will say I took pictures of all those books because I can probably find those books through third-party sites online and have them mailed to me, which is okay. I just don't, hopefully I'll be able to find them again. But these two were inexpensive, and I was able to fit them into my luggage, and it was really what I was hoping to find over there, which was Birds of Britain and Plant Life of Britain. And inside has all the birds that I can cut out, and, you know, that makes me happy, and then this makes me happy. But I had so many beautiful titles. I had one book that I have been wanting forever, and I think it might have been either Plants of the World or Birds of the World. The book was giant and weighed like 10 pounds, and my husband said, you have to leave it there. And it was literally like 8 pounds, and I was like, ah! But that's okay. It might have been even cheaper than that. I don't remember. And as you can see, this was 2.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds. And this was 4 pounds, surprisingly. But so 6.5 pounds for these two, which is, you know, I can't get these books, so it's fine. I don't even know if I pay too much. I don't even care. So anyway, that is my trip to London. Let me say a couple things about London before I finish up. When I was in Oxford. I found this, I had all these bookstores I wanted to go to, but I found this place in Oxford for my UK people and for people that are going to be going to Oxford. It's actually a stationery store, but it has the most gorgeous books. So they take classics and the covers of the books are so beautiful. And the name of the book is called Scriptum, Scriptum. It's on Turl Street. And I will try to also link their information in the description below. Follow their Instagram, and they just have the most beautiful stuff. It's the most interesting. It had beautiful pens, inks, everything that we love to use in our journals. And it wasn't so much a supply store as it was this beautiful stationery bookshop with just gorgeous anything book. Just loved it. So check them out if you're in Oxford. So that is my trip to London. There's so much more I could say. I'm not going to bore you with the details, especially because lots of you are from the UK and you've been there and you live there, and it's not that interesting to you maybe. But it was a fabulous trip for me, and I can't wait to come again. So now my second thing is, speaking of UK, is one of my favorite journal people is Tracie Fox. And I am on her Facebook group, and she does wonderful challenges every month. And this month she's having us do random acts of kindness and make altered notebooks. So I made a bunch. I'm just going to show you quickly the ones that I made and the ones I'm going to send, because one of them I'm not going to send. So first of all, I think what's so exciting about this is we all have journals hanging around our house, and it's a great way to make a little gift for someone. So I've used mostly so at the dollar store in the United States, you can get a 3-pack of these little composition books for $1. And they're perfect size for your purse or your backpack or your bag. And that is the size that I made these two out of. So this one is more of a traditional kind of I have some little watch or little gears with some collaged paper and just some sewing inside. I've lined it. And on the back I have, a little tag, a vintage card, a stamp, and a little pocket. And this is actually a hair tie. I forgot who first mentioned this, but it's such a fabulous idea. Again, at the dollar store, you can get a thing of hair ties in multiple colors, and they're the perfect size and thickness for these little books. So this is one of my little journals. The second one is Carnival. I have such a thing for mid-century, 1920s to 1950s children's books, because I love the imagery on it. This is from the Little Red Caboose, and I love circus and carnival theme, which is interesting because when I posted about it on Instagram, we kind of got in this little discussion about separating the imagery and sort of the love of the way circus looks from the business and the politics of animals and exploitation of its workers and people that had disabilities and things like that. So if you can separate yourself from the politics and just enjoy the imagery, which I do, and as somebody else pointed out, it was my first experience with large animals as well. If you live out in the country, you don't get to see elephants and tigers, and it was exciting the first time you went to a circus. So I found this wonderful page and made it into a little carnival, little pocket here, a little carnival circus type of a journal with some vintage rickrack with a little pocket here. And just really love the theme of this. So I'll be sending this one out as well. And I love the colorful fibers. And I have a little thing here to keep it shut. And then the last one I did was this sort of 2-pack of journals. I don't know where I got it from, but it's a nice little size and great for a purse. I did this one with just some papers and this really lovely little book page cutting and this little ruler. And I tried to mimic the ruler in here. A nice little pocket, and in the back, another pocket. And the little date it was made. And this as well will be one of my random acts of kindness. So these will be going out. I think our deadline was the 29th. I don't know if that was just to make it or send it. I'll be sending it this week, but chances are it won't get to the folks right away. And then this one is a composition book. I have so many composition books because if you're in the United States, your kids get a list of supplies they have to bring to school the first day of school, and a lot of times there's composition books on them, the black and white composition books. And then at the end of school, they bring them home and they literally have written in 3 pages of them. It happens every year. I have so many composition books downstairs in my basement that have under 10 pages used. So I need to make a place to put all my fall plans for classes. So I did one for myself out of a composition book that literally had 2 pages written in it, maybe 2 pages. And I just covered it in scrapbook paper and a full page from a child craft book from, I don't know, the early 1900s, not 1900s, like 20th century, I guess. So that would be like 1920s. I love this image in the pinks and the peaches. And I put some stamps and stickers and vintage music paper. And this is kind of funny. I had this pair of pajamas that was the softest pajamas. I wore them forever. I kept fixing them because I couldn't get rid of them. And then when they were finally ready to hit the rag bin, I cut the legs off of them because there was so much fabric. And I actually used that on this. And just touching it, oh my gosh, so soft. So weird. I know, I'm a complete weirdo. And I have a pocket back here, so I can slip some things in there. And a nice full pocket here, so I can put things in there. I don't know if you can see that. And then at the back of the book, I have a little sliding pocket here and a pocket here with some, right now, just tags and ephemera in it, but it will probably be class plans and attendance lists and things like that. So that's the one that I'm actually keeping for myself, and part of the reason is because it's not a full book. I cut some pages out of it because my son had written in it. So that is the challenge for Tracie, and I would recommend, especially if you're new to journaling, join one of the Facebook groups. Tracie's is wonderful. It's funny because when you join somebody's Facebook group, let's say the crafter's name was Jane Crafter, and she had a Facebook group named Jane's Crafters, and it's generally they stick to only talking about projects that Jane does and using her templates. But Tracie's, everybody talks about all the other crafters as well, and Tracie's totally fine with it. She's really, really tries to push everybody else's work, and it's just a refreshing, wonderful place to be. I belong to 2 or 3 other groups, which are all nice groups, don't get me wrong, but I find that Tracie's tends to be very active and very inclusive. So this is this month's challenge. She always has an interesting challenge, and she does giveaways. So, it's called it's called Foxy Crafters, the Foxy Crafters, and it's on Facebook group. So I've met some wonderful people there. It's just a thought about that. Oh, gosh, I'm tired. I'm not even through everything and I'm tired. Are you bored of me yet? I hope not, because I'm not bored of you, and I wish I could hear what's been going on in your life. I really want to hear what you're doing this summer, but I guess it only goes one way. So write in the comments. I'd love to hear things that are going on with you. So I'm going to go through a couple more things really quickly because you're probably getting sick of me. The next thing I want to talk about is my estate haul. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm back. I don't know what you just saw, but I had the most precarious setup for my camera and it all came crashing down. Now, as a mom, I can see disaster happening with my kids. And truth be told, I saw disaster happening with the video when I set this precarious setup. And in my mind, I thought, oh, Michelle, you're really pushing it. My son had recommended, because of the way I was setting up my camera before, he had recommended a different setup, which is balancing a bunch of things and using duct tape, which is totally a 17-year-old's way. And that picture you'll see here. And then I, the brilliant woman that I am, used this. That's right, a jar of sand. That was at the top of my stack. Can anybody predict what will happen if this falls? I knew. I even thought about it. I even thought I would tell my kids not to do this, but yet I did it. And it came crashing down, sand everywhere. That would be the picture here. Dogs running, sand everywhere, my dog sneezing because she got a little in her nose. Total mess. But you know what? I'm showing you this because what you see with me is what you get. I try to make things pretty sometimes, but generally my life is my life. I don't have time to be anybody that I'm not, and this is who I am. Yep, me. This is me. I'm not fancy. I'm fly by the seat of my pants. I don't take my best advice, and well, here we are. So, back to the video once again. Boy, this tea with me is just all over this place. Huh. God love you people. Mwah. I love you guys for being here. Anyway, let me talk to you a little bit about my estate sale. As I'm digging into the things I bought, I can only say the word I have is excitement. I have found incredibly beautiful things, and I wanted to share with you a little about the future of what's going to be happening with Tape and Twine and this estate sale. So one of my closest friends and I made the investment to buy almost 4 generations worth of paper. What that means is letters and books and journals and cards and you name it. Amazing things. And we've been talking about going into business together, and this is how we think we're going to use the materials. We are going to sell kits for journals. And these kits some of them will be general by themes, and we're going to try to curate subjects, the first of which will be like holidays and fall, and there'll be a combination of from book pages and maybe advertisements and cards and just different things that we have. And then we'll have some more personal curated kits with some more personal ephemera. We're looking into the logistics of that because it appears, and I don't know if you all know this, it appears that any letter that was written has a copyright on it. So if I write a letter to you, you can't publish my letter because as the writer, I have copyright on that letter. And old letters, the person needs to have been passed away for 70 years before you can publish a letter outright. So that makes it very difficult. Some of the stuff we have does fall into that, but some of it does not. Also, the person that is the main ephemera keeper and historian of this family, she was a poet, and she has written some beautiful poems that we would really love to share with you because as mothers and as women, I think you would get a lot out of what she has to say, and she really wanted to share her poems with the world. but there's maybe some legality there as well. She passed away many, many years ago, but it's not within that 70 years. And there's also the family to think about who is local. So I have to kind of sort those things out. But within the frame of the law, we're going to start releasing things that we know are safe and share things. And so I'm going to start today with just a teeny tiny little piece. So this family comes from New York City and New Jersey, and the daughter who did a lot of the journal keeping, her name is Emily, and Emily is an amazing record keeper. And it started when she was a young girl. I'm going to cover her name because I'm not sure about that yet. She has a journal about everything. When I say journal about everything, I mean everything. She has journals of clips from the newspaper of cute things people say, cute things kids say, animals. She has recipes, menus, health, her letters, other people's letters, letters that she wrote other people. She has copies of those once she sent them off so she could remember what she said to them. Can you imagine? She has poetry books. She has journals where she reviews books. She has pretty much a journal about everything. And this one that I want to share with you today, we've heard a lot about in our life as journalers, as junk bookers. And they're called glue books. And glue books have been around forever. And I'm going to put Emily at about maybe between 10 and 15 years old when she made this. And she was born in 1904. So let's call it 1915. And this book is a beautiful book, glue book that she put together of all animals and the natural world. I'm going to do sideways, even though I know it's not sideways for a lot of you, not right side up, just so you can see the pictures. I'm not sure what books she got these out of, but at 1914, if she got them out of it, I'm thinking they're copyright free, but I'm going to have to look a little bit more into that. But these images are gorgeous. And she has them lumped by the type of animal in a lot of places. I mean, I don't know if you can see the richness of these photos. She has rabbits and mice. Look at all the cute mice. I don't know why she did this. These are all squirrels, but I mean, they're beautiful pictures and they're just really lovely. I love this little guy. I don't know if you can see him with his chubby little mouth. Porcupines and armadillo, skunks. She has some black and white photos from things, and then she goes into the birds. And whatever book she took this out of, these plates are gorgeous, and the colors are gorgeous. Now, you think about this. This book is 100 years old. These pictures are at least 100 years old, and they are perfection. There isn't any mold, water damage, nothing to these beautiful pictures. They're lovely. And this book goes on, and then ends with a damaged kind of a page. Oh, look at this owl. Look at this owl. Oh, gorgeous. Look at these eggs. Then these two pages got stuck together, and then there's no more. And then I have all this beautiful paper that I have to decide what I'm going to do with. So this glue book, I love the cover. Can you see that texture? I think I'm going to start digitizing some of these things. And if I know that they are safe to use, some of them will be freebies and some of them will be digital kits this fall. And I'm going to try to curate kits that are meaningful and sort of depict a time in life. And this one would be like the 1915, 1920s. So I really liked that. And together with that was this calendar. It's not written, but it's a beautiful calendar. And I don't know if you can see this. It is the calendar of golden thoughts from 1918 For the fact that it's 101 years old, it's in great condition. The patina on it is gorgeous. And each page is a week. And there's a beautiful embossed sort of, or letter printed little sentiment. Usually something, a famous writer put in. And the fonts are beautiful. And each one, oops, I'm going to put this a little lower. Each one has different, look at this one. Yesterday and today. Our yesterdays are the blocks with which we build foundations for the structure of today. Harvey. Oh, I love it. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe take a collection of these and include these in some kits, an evening player. There's just beautiful, beautiful things in here. And I want to share this. Oops. So this is something very typical that I have that's not specific to the person, but to a time, and is in amazing shape. And I think I can make into a digital kit, or I can share with people. Some things I'll make freebies, and some things I will make into digital kits. So that is that. And lastly, I had to show this because this is something I'm really excited about. So I'm going into business with my friend, and her name is Diane. Hi, Diane. And you're going to get to know her better because she's going to be my partner in crime. We're going to keep the Tape and Twine name, and we're going to turn it into sort of an Etsy shop, probably with 3 different areas. We're going to have my journals. I'm going to start selling some journals, probably, if I can get my act together. We're going to sell some digital kits and ephemera, and then she has a lot of collectibles that she's been collecting. So we'll have sort of Tape and Twine journals, Tape and Twine ephemera, and then Tape and Twine collectibles. And hopefully this fall we're looking at launching, definitely with some basic kits this fall. We're really excited about the stuff we have for Christmas. So I just wanted to show you this really quick because this is Emily's culinary notebook, and inside, and I'll do more in the future about this, she has every menu for every day that she cooked. What she cooked, sometimes where the recipes came from, how much she spent. It is such an interesting little look at the time period. And she has lots of little notes with her grocery lists. So Diane had this really wonderful idea of making a culinary digital kit. So I think we have enough stuff to do that. So we're going to be working on that as well. So that is to come. And I am so excited about that. So I think what I will do is I will keep you posted about what we are doing with that business. But keep following me on Instagram under Tape and Twine so that you can be the first one to see what's available. Okay, so this is where best laid plans go totally awry. At this point in the video, I was explaining to you about this new project I had done and how I was going to have a craft-along video that was going to be released at the same time as this video. But unfortunately, those videos had some interesting problems with them and some technical difficulties, and I don't know that I can post them as is. So I may need to table this project just for a short while until I can refilm and get my bearings on it. So you'll have to excuse me for putting this project in and now not being able to publish it. However, in place of that, I am going to publish a video about finding your personal style, which was inspired by my friend Liz, and she is on Instagram at Liz, Liz, .uk, and she has a YouTube channel called Liz Van Wessem, which is her name, and she just started a brand new feature. I think it's called sharing the love or spreading the love, where she reviews other junk journalers and gives a lot of really amazing insights into what she's picked up on their style. And Liz is a smart cookie, let me tell you. And she profiles, I believe, 4 or 5 people in her first edition, and I'm one of them. And the constructive feedback that she put in the video was so incredibly helpful to me and made me realize that my style is not evident to everybody. And a personal style is such an important thing to all of us as artists, and especially people that are new to junk journaling. So I'm going to hold up a sheet of paper with her information on it now, and I'll also link it below. And I am going to do a video and release that instead, that is more about personal style and developing your own personal style, kind of showing mine off a bit so that we can open that discussion up a little bit. I feel passionate about us all finding our way in this junk journal community. So that's it, and I really appreciate you being with me today for Tape and Twine's Tea with Me.